So let's continue on, shall we? Why do we make art? Why do we make music? Uh, Especially now, because, for instance, I did this painting, and it's acrylic. It's just a small piece, winter down here on the coast. But what you're looking at is not my painting. I have the painting right here. What you're looking at is a digital representation of the painting, right? So that's where we're at right now with art, is that most people get their visual media through computers. And, the amount of visual media is, it's beyond count. You have your art gallery sites, which have hundreds of millions of pieces of art, but then you have YouTube and Netflix and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok, which has endless scrolling. Every few minutes there's a new visual image coming up, a new little story being told. So why do we do this? I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but this is a drawing. And I have this, it's a watercolor cubist. I don't know if you can capture that, but it's a guy playing a guitar. And so I have a watercolor and it's framed under glass. And I can put this up on my wall, or you can put it up on your wall if you bought it. And every time you see it, it tells a little story for you. And those stories can be anything. It could be political. It could be something that challenges your political beliefs, or you put it up there so that other people will learn something about your political beliefs. It can be a memory. It could just be pretty. I have lots of art that I do that I just do for the sake of visual entertainment, basically. I like the colors, I like the design, and when I see it, I get a little pop of entertainment. Entertainment, art as a trinket. So there's lots of reasons to do it. But today, it's become very abstract because, well, first of all, the museums and the galleries, they're open, they're closed, they're open, they're closed. And going outside is definitely taken on a new consciousness because, we're certainly not living in the same environment as we did 3 or 4 years ago. And our mortality is like right there up in front of our face. And it really calls into question, why are we making trinkets and to entertain ourselves and things like that? So yeah, the whole field has changed. It's digital, and it is because of where we're at with the pandemic and where we're at with the ecology of the planet. It's become very precarious. And yet people, if you go on to TikTok or YouTube or whatever, there are people still drawing, there are people still dancing, still learning how to play the guitar, all of those things. And it's very important to people as well. In my life, I've had so many people connect with me on the artistic and musical level. And that can be wonderful. Music can change people's lives. I've seen paintings. I've had people come up to me in tears over some paintings I've done because they were so touched by them. So it can really touch people. It can also turn people into, raving drama queens because they take it so, like, I am a serious artist. And, a lot of times people who do bring all that drama with them are usually not very good artists. They're more about the drama. But I don't think there's ever been a study on that, but that's my personal opinion. So yeah, it it begs the question of why we feel we have to make these artistic connections, especially right now. Shouldn't we be doing other things more important, like moving the cities off of the coast? It looks like we've got 3 years, so yeah, let's learn how to play uh, folk songs on the guitar. Yes, it's sort of like a cognitive dissonance, um, but yet, yeah, it is very important to people. Uh, and again, like I've seen people just completely turn into rage monsters whenever they take on the mantle of being an artist or a musician, where you know um, they want everything their way, and or they just completely have a meltdown. On the other hand, I with music, I've performed on stage. I've been paid to play music. I don't think they got their money's worth, but they did pay me. Uh, and um, it's I've had very amazing experiences in these very casual settings where people are just like sitting around a living room with a bunch of acoustic guitars playing music, and there's not a lot of ego going on. It's just more like, you go in a circle and everybody plays a song for everybody else, and if you know it, you join in. Those kinds of moments in music are um, exceptionally beautiful. And the same thing happens with art. It is those moments when people are captured by it emotionally. It's not like they're being captured by getting to meet an artist. It's the painting spoke to them. Um, and I don't know what my point was, but anyway, yeah, music, when I'm sitting in a circle in a living room with a bunch of people playing acoustic music, there's there are a few things better than that. But then there's the inclination to put it online, because then you can have a wider audience, and you'll go viral and millions of people will see your art, and that means something. I once had a website, and um, I put one video on it. It was a YouTube channel, and I put one video on it, and it was called Existentialism. And it was just 2 or 3 minutes of a white screen. And to me, it was like this perfect form of art, because for like 3 years, nobody watched that video. So every time I went back to check on it, there was not only nothing on the screen, but there were no subscribers and nobody watched it. And I thought, this is pure, this is performance art, conceptual art. Um, anyway, yeah, and I feel that way about the YouTube videos I make. A lot of times I make them just because I get so isolated, especially the past few years. I mean, but then before that, when I lived in that very uh, small town, and it was, I just had very few social connections. And I would just make videos to see that I still exist, basically, and like, what do I sound like, and what does it feel like to interact? Um, and I think a lot of people make videos for that reason. It's just a way of reaching out, which is pretty much the same motivation for making art. Uh, I used to just get thrilled when I'd go into a store and they had my paintings hanging on a wall, or go into somebody's house and they have my artwork up. It's just a nice feeling. I feel like I connected. And I feel like I'm part of a story going on. Like if you're art is in a store, that store has a story going on, you know, like this is what we're all about as a store, and this art is part of that. Or if you go in somebody's apartment, they have their own personal story going on. And if your art is on the wall, then you know it's something they see every day, and that's part. It's an important part of that story, and that's a great feeling. And the same with music. We have music that we hold on to throughout our lives. This one I did is a collage, and it could be called Pandemic. And the idea was is that like each one of these lines, each one of these little squares is another day, another day, another day, another day, another day of endless isolation. Everybody locked into their own little worlds with our screens up. And then if you look carefully, what I did is to connect, I put musical notes. So each going through all of this was music. Every day I played music. And it's just, the material is, I just cut up magazines and collaged it on here. It's a piece of wood. And so where are we now? I mean, now we're back to, I don't even know at this point. I just read that there's another variant out there of Omicron, and everybody's going to catch it. This is what my understanding of where we're at right now. Everybody's going in the world will eventually catch Omicron variant. Some people will get sick, some people won't. But it's mutating again, and so you know, what do we do? Do we just stay in our apartments and stick to our computer screens and our phones and hope for the best? How long can we do that? And then as far as artists and musicians and people in theater, and is that all gone now? Is that completely lost all relevance? I mean, what do you create about right now? What is a relevant topic to where you're going to go out? I was just in the store, and I've always just stared at people, and there was a rule in New York City that you never looked anyone in the eye, and I thought, well, if everybody else is obeying that rule, then I can be the one who's staring everybody in the eye because nobody else is, so I might as well. And I was just in the store, and I was looking. I've been looking in people's eyes over the past few years underneath the mask, and at first there was like this, you know, stress and anger going on, and then there was like this. There was a redness in people's eyes and a fatigue, and then there was that moment in the summer where we were like, oh, can we come out again? I mean, everybody's vaccinated. Well, everybody who's smart is vaccinated, and you know, and we had a moment there, and now we're back to, you know, Omicron and this extremely uncertain time again. And I was looking at people's eyes, and what's going on there now is just, I can't even do, I'm not a great actor, but it's just like nothing. Is what I'm saying. Is just like, it's like they've fallen asleep. And so what is the art for that? What songs do we sing? I have, excuse me, I have noticed, I do look at a lot of artists and musicians online, and I noticed that the tone has changed. First of all, people in dance and music are, I think it's because they just have so much time to themselves. They are really pushing themselves technically, that I must say. And but then a lot of the younger musicians, you know, in their 20s, have incorporated this feeling of certain doom upon us. And some of them do it in humorous ways, but mostly they will lace it in to whatever they're singing. I'm not sure about the arts. I'm sure there must be examples of this, but definitely in music. I'm hearing it more and more by very talented artists who incorporate our current situation into their songs. Nick Shoulders, I don't know if you've ever listened to him, but he's got this really fun voice. And he has a song about the pandemic, and I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, yeah, check him out. But he does this. He has all these lyrics about where we're at right now as the human race. This is a... And I bring this out for a reason, because it's just a very soft watercolor. Helen Frankenthaler type art, if you know art. And I go back and forth because I think, well, we're all like just getting pounded, like, bah, bah, bah. You know, you're going to die of Omicron. You're going to die of a variant of Omicron. People are losing their jobs, you know, and the seas are rising. And look at that storm and that fire, and whack, 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 whack. Everybody's going crazy. And we live in a country that is cognitive dissonance. Oh my God. Like, you can literally place dead bodies in front of our politicians, and they will be like, yeah, but what's in it for me? We got to make a profit tomorrow. And I am not, believe me, I'm going to get back to this painting, but the whole capitalist socialist argument to me is rather silly, because if you don't have habitat, you don't have capitalism or socialism. So anyway, this is a very soft painting, right? This is kind of like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right, really. Here, look at something pretty for a second. The problem with doing this is then people want to stay here, you know, and then these whole religious ideas get built around it, that if you keep your mind in this place, it will affect the reality around you. Now, the seas are rising, they definitely are, and Omicron is definitely mutating, and I mean that's the thing. But then if you go the other direction and you make art, and I've done this, that's very political and very in your face, and it's like, no, this. People get like, I'm already having a bad day and you've made it worse for me. So yeah, and I don't know when I just got a book about art during World War II, and it's really fascinating, and you know, and maybe I'll do a video about that. I just got it from the library, and I've been thinking about that, and I've been thinking about during World War II, you know, countries were bombing each other and destroying entire cities, you know, and there was massive amounts of death going on. And still, you know, that's when the jitterbug was invented, and, you know, big band jazz, you know, and the arts flourished. There's beautiful poetry, and you know, and right out of that came abstract expressionism, and so should artists be like, come on everybody, cheer up, let's dance? And I love that vibe, you know, except that I don't like when people get stuck there and forget that, you know, there's a war going on. I don't know. I don't think art is a job. You know, it's like it's not my job to do art for any reason. You know, we like to think of it has to have, my intent of doing it has to be to solve a problem or entertain people. And I think that's secondary. My intent is because I enjoy doing it. Um, and that's really narcissistic and selfish, I know, but I'm narcissistic and selfish. Uh, let's see, what else could I show you? I'll show you these. These are small pieces of art. Just to leave you with something. People have probably seen these before. But these are Cubist paintings that I did in Tucson. And I was so proud of them because I had been studying color theory, which is very difficult. Uh, it was for me. I couldn't wrap my mind around it, and I've read art books constantly for decades, and I just read one book after another on color theory. And I was trying to use the Impressionist color theory while doing Cubism. And I really liked the way they turned out. A lot of people didn't understand them. Here's another. And then what I was trying to do is I was trying to abstract it out as far as I could so it would be Cubism, but you would still perceive this as a table with flowers and a couple of oranges in a vase, but just right out to the edge. So I was trying several things at one time. Cubism with Impressionist style color theory and abstraction. And that is the fun of it. Now, when I've put these paintings, these paintings have been in many shows, and the response is, you know, it's like divided, right down the middle. Some people love them, and some people have come up to me and said, "I really, those no, that's just wrong." So yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be directly political to have an effect. I've done political paintings where I've had people come up and threaten to kill me, but this is more like you're challenging something else in people, something intellectual and abstract inside of people, and that is a valid place for art. And if we are going to do art and music and all the other, like dance and poetry, I think that's